Okay. I'll know I'll lose as soon as transportation infrastructure gets on, but I mean.
How you doing, Judy? Good to see you.
I'm doing good.
It's been too long. I really missed the opportunity to go to Austin.
I know, that would have been lovely. So.
Well, this is my last year.
Really?
I term out at the end of this year.
Yeah.
So it's been a great gig. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, we are talking about having one more water council in Napa before
Okay.
Mayor Eckel. So if we can twist your arm to
I'll be
travel
there.
the state.
I'll be there. The governor's going to let me, travel out of county, so I'll do it.
There we go.
Especially to Napa, the other wine country.
The other one, yes. I mean, although you have lovely wine as well. So.
Thank you.
Well, I want you to know in Iowa, our governor's opened everything up. She cured COVID and it's all good.
That's crazy. Okay.
All right.
Well, I think,
Mayor Bradbury, I see is, I just saw her hand go up. So she's over in the attendees right now.
Hey, Chris Bolich, I saw you had the assist from a family member there.
There we go.
I did, Mayor. I'm on 2 Zoom calls. I'm on this one, and I'm also on with the Speaker of the General Assembly in New Jersey at the same time. So.
well, we feel honored, Mayor Bolosh. Thank you for joining
No,
us.
I'm doing it all. Yeah, I'm sitting home. What can I do?
Good to see
But I
you.
did have help, Mayor Barnett. You're correct about that.
Yeah. We all have.
All right.
Mayor Ryan, that was a good editorial. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Judy, we ready?
We are ready.
All right. Well, all right. Thank you, guys. I want to welcome you all to the Conference of Mayors Environmental Committee meeting. I'm Rick Kriseman. I'm the mayor of St. Petersburg, Florida, and chair of this committee. And so this is the first time we've done a virtual meeting of this committee. And so I'm going to ask all of you to be as patient with us as possible as we embark on this new adventure that hopefully we won't have to ever embark on once again. If you are a mayor, your picture, or at least your name, hopefully is on all of our screens. And again, if you don't see yourself, or if you're in the attendees, raise your hand, or check the toolbar and use the chat function to let us know that you're here, and we'll try and make sure that we can see you and certainly hear you. I'm going to ask everybody if you please mute your mics unless you want to speak so we don't get any feedback. What we're going to do today first is consider our resolutions, and then we're going to have some speakers from the Municipal Waste Management Association and the Solid Waste Advisory Council, the environmental affiliate of the Conference of Mayors. They're going to be speaking on how to protect our sanitation workers from COVID, as well as initiatives to address the cleanup of homeless encampments in order to protect public health as well as maintaining our worker safety. Before we get started on our resolutions, I want to first welcome, and I don't know that they are on yet. I don't see their names yet, but I think we will be joined, hopefully. They RSVP'd to our past president and a great mayor, Mayor Steve Benjamin, and I think another great mayor will be joining us, I hope. Our soon-to-be first vice president, Mayor Nan Whaley. Lastly, but certainly not least, let me introduce my friend, our president, the mayor of Rochester Hills, Brian Barnett, who at one point in time served as vice chair of this committee, I believe, for several years. So, Mayor Barnett, I'm going to give you the floor, and I will be emailing you my bank account for that my friend comment, so you can take care of me afterwards.
Yeah.
Mayor Barnett?
Well, thank you, Mayor Kriseman. I love your mic. Listen, thank you for a few minutes on the phone today in the Zoom. I just wanted to make a couple quick comments and then let you get about the work of this committee. Some of you I've seen before. This is my fourth. I just texted Tom Cochran. I feel like we're internet speed dating here. I see him about every 2 hours on these things, and haven't told my parents about him yet, but probably pretty soon. Listen, I just want to say thanks. You know, one of the things you do and you hope to do in a situation like this is remain relevant to the folks you serve. I think probably all of us as leading municipalities have tried to take what are normally very interpersonal relationships and interactions and turn them into virtual experiences that are still relevant and valuable. And that's really what we've been focused on in the conference for the last several months, is taking what normally is a great group of people that love to get together around a big hollow U and talk about these things. And in the absence of that, try to get together, still deal with important information, still move issues forward. The resolutions you'll be considering today are important, and still ultimately try to create value for all of you. We're a membership organization. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to find value in us. And I hope that over the last few months, you've seen the conference work as hard as perhaps you've ever seen, at least in my 14 years of being mayor, to try to provide that value, connect you with good information, and support you as we all go through these layered, really complicated scenarios of pandemics and economic recessions and social unrest. So I'm really proud of the team. I want to thank Tom in particular for his leadership. And in this particular instance, I don't get to see Judy all that often. You all know the fantastic job that Judy does and has done. She is a rock star in this field. And I know when people in Washington look to talk about things related to the environment or water in particular, they seek out Judy. And we're blessed to have her leadership as a part of our team. And so, Judy, thank you for your tireless and longstanding work, not just on this committee, but for the conference in general. But just to give you a couple of quick items of update and of interest. First of all, there was a very important meeting last Friday of the nominating committee. The nominating committee in this sort of virtual experience is met virtually and put forth the recommendation of a slate of officers that will be considered by the executive committee next Tuesday, June the 30th. So these aren't official, but these are the groups of people that they're putting forward for leadership in this organization. Obviously, following me in the presidency will be Mayor Fisher from Louisville. And then I see her in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen, at least, smiling Riley, the great mayor and my friend from Dayton, Mayor Whaley, who will ascend to first vice president. That, in my experience, is the best gig because you don't have any of the stress and you get most of the fun things. So enjoy first vice presidency. And then, of course, second vice president was chosen or was recommended to be Miami Mayor Francis Suarez. Two great trustees coming on the board in Chris Cabalden from West Sacramento and David Holt from Oklahoma City. And then a wonderful slate of newer mayors, in many cases, mixed with some senior leaders coming on the advisory board, mayors of Seattle, Tampa, New Orleans, Huntington, West Virginia, Dallas, and Chicago. So some great cities represented, some even greater mayors will be at the table as the strength of this organization continues to grow from the bottom up. So that group will be considered on the 30th. And then please mark your calendars for July 1st at noon Eastern time. That will be where we hold our conference virtual plenary session. And there'll be a series of videos. I'll give my remarks regarding my year, and then Mayor Fisher will give some remarks announcing and launching his year. So it'll be nice to see the transition of the organization and hopefully be reminded of the good work and progress we've made last year, and then be able to catch a glimpse of where Mayor Fisher and Mayor Whaley want to take us in the year ahead. So July 1st, next Wednesday, noon, please tune in. We hope that you'll get some great value and enjoy that meeting as well. One other meeting I would point to, I've tried to be, and I have been on all of these meetings so far, and appreciate the work of this environment committee. One last final note I'll make about the committee meetings. So we have an interesting one on Thursday. You know, in the age of this social unrest, particularly of the last month, we stood up a committee on police reform and social justice and asked Mayors Lightfoot, Cranley, and Castor to lead that. They'll be reporting out their initial findings on Thursday. So if you're interested in that, tune in to Their meeting, I believe it starts at 4 o'clock in Mayor Lightfoot's Criminal Justice Committee. That committee will be reporting out some of information there, and then we look to socialize that almost immediately thereafter to talk about some of those findings. Really proud of this because in this age where there's so much finger pointing, mayors are absolutely stepping up in the gap and leading, so we appreciate that. Finally, just a personal note, just want to thank all of you. So many of you have been kind enough to write notes, to send emails, to just encourage me. This has been the highlight of my professional career to serve as president of this organization. It is tremendously well run from a staff perspective, tremendously well received from a public perspective, and in tremendously good hands moving forward with the leadership that's coming. So it's been really a tremendous honor to serve all of you and to serve with all of you. And I just thank you for that and wanted to take just a couple moments. I have to jump on some budget meetings here in Rochester Hills, but just wanted to make sure that all of you knew how much you appreciated. Thank you for the opportunity. And Mayor Kriseman, always good to see you, my friend, and thank you for a couple moments today. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, my friend, Mr. President, for your exceptional leadership this past year during these incredibly challenging times. You know, I had a friend of mine say to me, did you ever think that you, when you ran for mayor, that on a single day you would deal with a pandemic, civil unrest, and a tropical storm during hurricane season all in one day? And I said, no, that wasn't something I expected. I suspect the same goes for you, my friend, that when you ran for president, wanted to lead this organization, you never expected that you would be called to the duties that you've been called to do and to provide us with a level of leadership and information and support that I know each and every one of us has really appreciated through these incredibly challenging times that we found ourselves in. So on behalf of all of my colleagues, we say thank you for your leadership, thank you for your friendship, and quite frankly for your sense of humor also, because we all need a good laugh every so often. It's stressful enough, and if we can't laugh and enjoy our jobs, then we probably shouldn't be doing them. And you really demonstrated how you can do a hell of a good job and have a good sense of humor and enjoy what you're doing at the same time. So thank you. I also want to echo your comments too about Judy, about Tom, the whole team. The Conference of Mayors has amazing staff, and since I've been fortunate to be in this position, and I've really had the honor of working with Judy and her team, and it has really been, it truly has been an honor. You guys make me look good. So we do have a few housekeeping items that we need to do before we start our resolutions. If you mayors, if you haven't co-sponsored a resolution and would still like to do so, you can go to the community.usmayors.org website or use the mobile app, which I found is the easiest way to go ahead and co-sponsor any of the resolutions, whether it's for this committee or any of them. You have until June 30th to add your names if you want to do that. And using the same website or app, you can also register a no vote on a resolution that passes in a standing committee today. And this option is only available to members of the standing committee in which the resolution passes, and is available also till Tuesday, June 30th. For members of the committee and the other member mayors, you can also register a no on any resolution by 5 p.m. Eastern Time on July 1 of 2020. And also for those mayors who are on the screen, you can speak to any of our resolutions or ask a question of our speakers by just unmuting your line and giving me some kind of indication that you'd like to speak. There is the raise hand button. That's the easiest way. And once again, if you're a mayor and you're not on the screen, please send a chat to our staff, whether that's Judy, Juby, or David, and they will promote you to the screen. And also note that only mayors of this committee are allowed to vote on the resolutions. So I will be asking people to raise your hand like this in front of your screen when it comes time to vote, so that we can count your votes. So please leave your hand long enough up there so that we have a chance to see you, because if you're not on the first screen, you may be on the second screen that we may have to scroll through. And we also have our parliamentarian who is with us today. Thank you, Tim, to answer any questions if we have any that come up. So with that, our first item of business is the consideration of our resolutions, including the call for new resolutions. So according to the memo that you all received, new resolutions had to be sent in by noon today and will be considered if 2/3 of the members agree and after the consideration of those resolutions that were already submitted. We do have one new resolution that was offered and was sent out to the committee members yesterday. So if you don't have it, we'll bring it up on the screen to review together after we've taken up all the other resolutions. So what we want to first consider are those previously submitted resolutions, and we have 8 of them that were submitted in a timely fashion. All 8 of the resolutions were posted on the conference website on June 8th, and I hope that each of you has had an opportunity to review them. So I'm going to name each resolution. I'll give a short description of what the resolution calls for, and then we'll open the resolution to debate and ask members to vote again by raising your hand for both an aye or an A. The first resolution that we have is number 26, and that is support of clean energy jobs through the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant Program, which is shared with the Energy Committee. This resolution calls on Congress to reauthorize and fully appropriate the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant Program in the next COVID-19 fiscal recovery bill or any other appropriate legislative vehicle. So the question is on the adoption of Resolution 26. Is there any debate? Okay, I don't see any hands raised for debate. So if all of you who are in favor, if you would signify by raising your hand and keeping them up so that we can count. All those in favor. And Judy gave me a thumbs up, so we're good. So you can lower your hands. Anyone who is opposed, if you would please raise your hand. All right, we're good there.
It passed.
All right, so the resolution has passed. Thank you. We'll move on to resolution number 27, requiring that the U.S. Department of Energy focus on the safe treatment and storage of radioactive waste on site, where appropriate, to mitigate health and environmental risks of transporting low, high, and mixed level waste to off-site treatment facilities. And this resolution is also shared with the Energy Committee. The resolution is pretty self-explanatory, calls on the U.S. Department of Energy to focus on the treatment and storage of radioactive waste on site, or to move towards a consent-based approach to avoid further health and environmental impacts from the transportation of waste produced from other decommissioned nuclear facilities. So our question is on the adoption of Resolution 27. Is there any debate on this resolution?
Mayor, could I ask a question?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
It's not really a debate. The issue is similar resolutions like this have been passed previously. My question is, are there differences in the language of this versus what has been adopted previously?
I do not believe so, Mayor. Mayor Goodman, who submitted, you are on the line.
Yes, I think it's pretty similar. Thank you. This is Mayor Goodman speaking. And I think because of the COVID-19 issues and the finances, not much has been done to mitigate the infrastructure failure around the country and fix it. So there could be transport of waste if, in fact, that had been done. But since it has not been done, everything pretty much is the status quo. Because we had talked about repurposing, deactivating, recycling, so many issues, but the most important thing at this point is to keep the resolution as it is, just as it's stated with the radioactive waste on site.
Thank you, Mayor Goodman.
Thank you for including me.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other questions or debate? Seeing none, All those in favor, please signify by raising your hands and keeping them up in the air. All right. You can lower your hand. All those opposed, please raise your hand.
It's passed.
All right. The resolution passes. Thank you very much. We'll move on to resolution number 29, support of water infrastructure and workforce investment to protect and promote public health. And this is shared with the Jobs Committee. This resolution supports investment in infrastructure that modernizes and expands our nation's drinking water, wastewater treatment, groundwater treatment, stormwater capture, and flood protection systems. It gives priority to resilient water infrastructure projects. It includes new and refurbished hand washing, hygiene, and hydration stations at public buildings and in the public right-of-way, and it provides new jobs and job training opportunities that focuses on programs that include unemployment or underemployed individuals financially impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. So our question is on the adoption of Resolution 28. Is there any debate?
Mayor, I will just speak in favor of this, and I would call attention to the fact that Mayor Garcetti and others worked to conduct a public poll regarding infrastructure, and for the first time, I believe a year ago, the water infrastructure actually received a higher level of public support than transportation did. So I think not only are we aware of this as we manage our own local utilities, but the public support for investing in our water and wastewater infrastructure is consistent with the need, and we need to continue to bring attention to that need to the Congress.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just want to acknowledge all of your efforts over the years, really, in raising the issue of water infrastructure on behalf of all of us in Washington. You've really done an outstanding job for us all, so thank you. Is there any other comment or debate?
Just a quick comment. Having
Yes,
spent
sir.
my career in drinking water science as a water quality chemist, I wholeheartedly support this. This is something that ongoing investment in our infrastructure is going to be critically important. So I echo Mayor Berger's comments. This is certainly needed.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other debate or comment or questions? All right, seeing none, would all those in favor please signify by raising your hand and keeping it up? All right, please lower your hands. All those opposed, please raise your hand.
It is passed.
Thank you. We'll move on to resolution number 29, supporting local control of water infrastructure projects. This resolution supports local control of drinking water and wastewater systems and opposes federal and state policies that promote material preferences or otherwise undermine local autonomy for local water and wastewater infrastructure systems. The question is on the adoption of resolution 9. Is there any debate or questions? Hearing none, would all those in favor please signify by raising your hand and keeping it up?
Okay.
Thank you. And all those opposed, if you would please raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Very good. Thank you all. We'll move on to resolution number 30, advancing strategic partnerships in delivering water and wastewater infrastructure. This resolution supports water and wastewater private partnerships as a mechanism to maintain and expand water and wastewater capabilities in communities, and it urges local and state governments to advocate the removal of regulatory and other barriers that would serve to restrict or limit the use of water and wastewater private partnerships. So our question is now on the adoption of Resolution 30. Is there any debate? Seeing none, would all those in favor please signify by raising your hand? Thank you. You may lower your hand. All those opposed, please raise your hand.
Passed unanimously.
Very good. Thank you. Resolution number 31, ports, supporting harbor maintenance tax reform, donor equity, and expanded uses. This resolution is shared with Metro Economies Committee and endorses legislation to go beyond assuring all monies in the harbor maintenance trust funds are appropriated, to address donor equity and eligibility for in-water infrastructure maintenance needs. So our question is on the adoption of Resolution 31. Is there any debate on this resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand.
Got it?
And thank you. And all those in opposition, if you would please raise your hand.
It's passed unanimous.
Very good. Resolution number 32 is reduce the economic, noise, and health impacts of overflights on cities from the implementation of NextGen's airspace redesign. And this resolution is shared with the Transportation Committee. It urges Congress and the FAA to reduce the economic, noise, and health impacts of the implementation of NextGen's airspace redesign and protect the public against NextGen-related impacts. It supports the FAA's goals of aircraft safety and security. It requests that the FAA ensure that supersonic jets be at stage 5 noise levels when they are at subsonic speeds, and supports the full funding and implementation of the FAA Reauthorization Act, which includes various provisions. So the question is now on the adoption of Resolution 32. Is there any debate of this resolution? Hearing none, would all those in favor please signify by raising your hand?
Okay.
All right, you may lower your hands, and all those who are opposed, if you would please raise your hand.
Passed unanimously.
Very good. Resolution number 33, supporting of development and expansion of waste and recycling markets. This resolution supports the development and expansion of municipal recycling infrastructure, including upgrades to existing facilities and development of alternative collection and processing methods, and a federal investment in such infrastructure and the workforce, as well as support for innovative research and technology, including reduced and sustainable packaging, carbon-free transportation, as well as recovery methods for food waste and other compostable materials. Also prioritizing waste reduction, as well as building a domestic circular supply chain that is localized and resilient to future economic challenges. So our question is now on the adoption of Resolution 33. Is there any debate? Mayor Bradbury.
Thank you. Not a debate as much as a question. We are going to be talking to some of our public works waste services in a few moments. And my question is, over the years, I've heard when they've got recycling and it's abundant, people want it so that they can turn it into either renewable energy or renewable products. And then I hear from time to time where they're having problems sorting the stuff and giving it to people, let alone making money on it when they're recycling it. So is there a way for us to put some kind of wording in there to consider that? I mean, I'm a recycler. I recycle every week. I usually have 2 containers out there. I recycle more than I throw. But I know that from time to time, there is a market on recycling. Bottles, plastics, you know, a whole variety of different things.
Mayor, what would your recommendation be?
I'm not exactly sure as far as the wording, but we need to encourage the market itself to reach out to manufacturers of these products. You know, you'll see when you buy something, and it'll show that it's made from recyclable materials. My husband and son's golf shorts are made from recyclable plastic, but there's where that market is. We need to encourage the market itself to be involved in this. You know, the vendors.
Vendors, like end users, you mean?
Vendors and users, yes.
Okay. Well,
So it could be that and another, be it further resolved clause, maybe.
or one could interpret paragraph 13 in building a domestic circular supply that is localized and resilient to future economic challenges. One could interpret that to being end markets, but we could also include do another resolve clause. Do you have something in mind, Mayor Bradbury?
You know, when we're offering support, maybe to offer manufacturer support and incentives to continue to look for ways to utilize these materials.
Okay.
I know that there's a code number on there, and depending on what the code is, will depend on how it gets recycled.
Okay. How about something to encourage manufacturers to use post-consumer content recyclables? Or I'm making this up as I go.
I know, I apologize. I should have sent it to you earlier. Just been crazy.
I hear you on that.
I work for a civil engineering firm, and even though there's COVID, we were one of the essential worker companies, and you know, thank God for construction workers, because they're still building away.
Okay.
You know, so when we get over the other side of this, there'll be places for people to go. Let me think about it just for a second while they chat with others, and I'll give you a little.
I think
holler.
Mayor Landry.
Hi, thank you very much for posting this today. When you announced this item, you said food waste, but that's not in the ordinance. And you mentioned Los Angeles, which I'm in Campbell, California, which is in the Silicon Valley. And the state of California is going to be implementing SB 1383 regarding food waste and also yard waste. And I don't know if that needs to be listed in here. You did mention food waste when you did introduce the item, but it doesn't have that anywhere in the resolution. And the idea in using it is if we use the food and yard waste, we can then compost it. And the Senate bill requires cities and other agencies and large campuses to buy back and use composted material as soil amendment, and like tree shredding you can use as mulch.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Tim Wynn, the parliamentarian. I would just like to point out that food waste is mentioned in the resolved clause, number 12. It says, as well as recovery methods for food waste and other compostable materials.
Compostable material.
Right.
Ah, I missed that. And then
Okay.
compostable material would count as yard waste.
That is correct.
Okay, I'm sorry, I
whole bunch of
missed
different
that
things.
there. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Any other questions or debates while Mayor Bradbury is formulating some language?
Whereas the United States Conference of Mayor encourages federal government to give incentives to businesses who work with local municipalities for recycling products to be reused.
You want it as a whereas or as a therefore be resolved, Mayor?
Therefore, it be resolved. And I just sent you a text with some language that you can maybe tweak.
Okay. Can you all talk amongst yourselves?
Sorry.
Oh, hold on one second.
You'll be able to put the legalese in there and, you know.
Well, except for you guys all have to vote on it today.
I know, but you know what I'm saying as far as, you know, a little more grammatically correct and a little bit more useful.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, I see it. I see it coming up on the screen now, so that's perfect. I was just going to recommend that I trust Judy will be able to put this together and display it for the members, and then the members will be able to debate it and then vote on whether or not to add this blue language. And then after that, we can return to any debate on the resolution itself and then put it to a vote.
Very good. Thank you.
Now you get to see all my typing skills, my mad typing skills.
Sorry about that. Like I said, I should have said it to you earlier. I apologize.
I think everybody's schedules have been a little bit, I'll use a technical term, fermished.
Isn't that the truth?
Although I suspect each one of us would rather be in Austin if we could have been right now.
Yes.
Got that right.
I exited. My father was working for NASA when I was a young child out in Texas, mission control. So every time that the United States Conference of Mayors goes to Texas, I get to spend a few moments with some of my childhood friends. So I really enjoy it anytime we're out in Texas.
May I make a suggestion, Mayor? This is how you wrote it. How about to give incentives to businesses, and may I add the word and manufacturers?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
To work
I
with
know each municipality has a different way of taking care of, you know, their waste. We have waste management, which is one the United States Conference of Mayors sponsors. Mayor Kriseman's city public works group takes care of it. And they do recycling as well as the waste. So that's the reason why I was saying, wanted to kind of put the businesses and manufacturers, because I know a lot of the recycling that happens here in Pinellas County actually gets taken to another county to be shipped out to different places. It doesn't stay here locally.
That's why there's one aspect in here about the local markets and the localized resilient. I modified it just slightly.
By all means.
Right now it's reading, if it's okay, Mayor Kriseman. Be it further resolved that the U.S. Conference of Mayors encourages the federal government to give incentives to businesses and manufacturers to work with local municipalities to utilize the products that they collect and recycle in order to encourage products to be reused.
Reused
In a sustainable manner?
yes, whether that's, crushing the plastic up and making something new out of it, or
Okay. Is that an acceptable amendment the way I drafted it, Mayor Bradbury?
it's acceptable to me. Yes, I hope the committee doesn't mind.
Okay. And Tim,
Yeah.
is she making an motion to?
Yeah, so as long as this is the language that the member mayor who is making the motion is comfortable with, then it will be the motion, the pending motion before the assembly. So now the committee will can debate or further amend this language. And then when the committee is finished debating this language, if there is any debate, then this language that is in blue will be put to a vote on whether or not to add it to the resolution. After that vote, we'll then return to the resolution as it has been amended or as it was originally, depending on the vote.
Very good.
Did you get that, Mayor Kriseman?
Okay. I did. So Mayor Bradbury, you're good with this language?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So we have pending in front of us then a motion to amend the resolution to include this new be it further resolved clause. Is there any debate on this motion to add this clause to the resolution? And I can't see everybody, so.
Okay, I'm going to momentarily stop sharing for 1 second, and so I can count people.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Perfect. That's okay. All right. I do not see any hands up for debate, or no one is speaking up for debate. As such, then we will vote on the amendment to the resolution. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. All right, you can lower your hand. Anyone who is opposed, please raise your hand.
Okay. It's passed.
Thank
The
you guys
motion
very
for
much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. Motion for the amendment passes, so we are back to the main resolution as amended. Is there any additional debate or proposed amendments to the resolution? Seeing none and hearing none. All those in favor of the resolution as amended, if you will please raise your hand to signify your vote. And my hand is up. It just disappeared.
Well, you wave at me and you're throwing me up a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
You can put your hands down. Anyone who's opposed, please raise your hand.
Okay, it passed.
The resolution as amended is passed. Very good. Thank you. We are on our next item of business, which is potential consideration and approval of new resolutions. And again, according to the rules, a 2/3 vote without debate is required to allow a new resolution to be considered. We do have a new resolution that you all were sent entitled Calling for Continued Investments and Actions on Climate Change in a Time of Global Pandemic. It was submitted to us by Des Moines Mayor Frank County, who asked me to co-sponsor it as a member of this committee. Mayor County, since this is your resolution, would you like to give a brief explanation of the resolution?
Thank you, Mayor. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think it is fairly self-explanatory, but in the middle of a pandemic, as it's a crisis that U.S. cities are looking at across all kinds of levels, health disparities, income inequalities, people laid off. And as we think about the future of our cities and the shock of the pandemic and what it created, it's put stress on all levels of our city, whether it's health, it's equity, and it's climate change. A lot of us have begun our work through the Conference of Mayors, and we've all tried to do everything that we can to make our cities more resilient, whether it's to storms, whether it's to droughts, whether it's to a variety of other things that have happened, from forest fires to other things, but trying to plan and look ahead. And as we think about the causes of that, certainly we're facing severe budget challenges, but we're thinking about what it is that we can do moving forward, and to ask the federal government to look at the tax subsidies that they are continuing to hand out, both to essentially to fossil fuel industries. Certainly they are looking for support. They've had it for years, but at some moment we need to transition. And I think that time, as we think about the creation of new jobs and moving to the green new world, now could be the time, or should be the time, that we look at it. And so as we transition from that non-renewable to renewables and think about that green recovery to provide both economic and climate benefits. And so the resolution is essentially structured around that, to begin shifting those subsidies and tax credits and looking to support a green economy. And again, I would like to think that Congress and the administration would look very strongly at renewing those energy efficiency conservation block grants that we all worked so hard to get put in place, that essentially we haven't seen much of recently. But I think this is a good way that the money can come straight to cities for us to begin to look at our local grids, everything that we can do in our own buildings, and looking at the future of what transportation looks like, public transportation, electric vehicles, whether they be public or private, and begin to make permanent investments in those alternative energy areas. So we would ask that Congress to significantly increase their investments in job training skills to assist workers impacted by COVID-19, and looking to transition, beginning from those fossil fuel-based jobs into those green jobs. And we'd ask the U.S. Conference of Mayors and to call on the President and Congress to support UN Secretary Guterres, Secretary General, to call to ensure the first and foremost that the lives are saved, livelihoods are restored, and the global economy and the people we serve emerge stronger from the crisis through the delivery of a sustainable development goals, and renew our commitment to the Paris Agreement on climate change. And that, in summary, is where I'm going. I think it's a great opportunity for us to at least begin to urge that transition.
Thank you, Mayor, for that explanation. Now, since this is a new resolution, a 2/3 vote is required to allow it to be considered before any debate can begin. So we'll first take up the question of allowing the resolution to be considered. Those of you in favor of allowing the resolution to be considered, if you would please raise your hand at this time.
I have a question prior to that.
Okay.
If we take out the Paris Accord, then I am in favor of it. I think that we need to take care of our house first before we go anyplace else.
Mr. Chairman?
So you're probably going to say what I was just going to say.
Okay. Well, that would be included in the consideration portion. So we would have to vote first if we wanted to consider it, and then we could look at changes.
So our first vote will be on whether we're going to consider it, and if we agree to consider it, then we can talk about the changes. So Judy, were you able to get to record, or should we do that one more time?
Please do that one more time. I got it down.
Okay, so that's okay. So if you are in support of considering the resolution, please raise your hand.
Got it?
Okay, thank you. Put your hands down. Those who oppose consideration of the resolution, please raise your hand.
It was unanimous, so it definitely has
Okay.
2/3.
All right, so the question now is on the adoption of this new resolution. Mayor Bradbury, would you like to again state your position?
Yes, I would like to take out the portion about the Paris Climate Accord. I believe that we as cities need to look to our local businesses, our local manufacturers, as well as to our local technical schools to be involved in this, to be able to do the manufacturing and everything. I don't know that we need to necessarily, I believe we need to take baby steps. Just as an example, our local technical college used to offer solar manufacturing classes. They don't offer them anymore. And I'm not kidding you, this was 30 years ago, maybe 40 years ago, that they used to offer these classes, way before their time, and now they don't offer the classes. So I believe that we need to make sure that our monies and anything that we're asking the federal government to do is a trickle down to local before we worry about whether we're in tune with what's going on all over the place or not, but to make sure that we're concentrating on this being something that the sustainableness of this ask of them is a sustainable item.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So we just need to make sure we're clear on exactly what the mayor intends to strike from this. And then this would be, if we could highlight it and make sure that that is what the mayor is comfortable striking. And then that, once again, will simply be an amendment that will be debated and then put to a vote.
So there's I think Judy has pulled up the language.
It's the very last paragraph.
Okay. Are you suggesting to get rid of the entire last paragraph?
Get rid of the last paragraph and ask and this one I didn't get until the very last minute, so I wasn't able to even do any consideration other than you guys just reading it right now. To put in there to encourage businesses, to encourage apprenticeship, the technical schools to get involved and be involved. And we can't ask a solar manufacturers to build us solar panels if they don't have employees that know how to do it. And that's from the top down. That's the person that's actually welding the pieces together to the person that's programming the panel that hooks up to your electric. We need all of the colleges to be involved with us.
Mayor, would that be the paragraph that's just above where it talks about increasing investment in job training skills? Would that cover what you were just speaking about?
Yes.
Okay.
But we just need to make sure that it's
Including.
We can have 1 million programmers, but we still need people to change our oil. I mean, it needs to be on the technical college level as well as the Einstein that's going to invent the item. We need both.
So you're asking for increased investment in technical colleges or more? I'm just making this up as we go, so.
Congress mayor is significantly increased investment in training and assistance workers.
Right.
Yeah, technical colleges, I think is where it kind of needs to be.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Judy,
So-
this is Frank County. Could I make one comment here?
It's up
Yes,
to the
Frank,
chair.
you're the sponsor of the
Mayor, I see your point on training. The paragraph before, we're urging the Congress to significantly increase investment in job training. Certainly that would be through all levels, whether it's at a trade schools sponsored by unions, for instance, or whether it's the training that's being sponsored through technical colleges or 2-year degrees or whatever. I think that we would like to
I'm
see it
afraid
across
that
the board.
I understand it, but I believe that you need to specify that it is there. Otherwise, they're going to get lost in the weeds.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, sir.
So these two, the paragraph at the bottom that is proposed to be stricken and this language that is proposed to be inserted should be considered separately. So they're fine to have them on the screen at the same time, but we should debate and then put to a vote the strikeout on the bottom first and then move back to perfecting this language.
Okay. Strike out first, and then the
Do it in 2
additional
different
language.
colors,
Okay.
maybe,
I think the blue is fine as long as everyone's clear.
so that Judy doesn't have to erase it. Just put it in a different color.
And I don't think you have to erase it. I think everyone can see the what is stricken.
So we,
Okay. So why don't we take up then first the stricken language, and then we can vote on that, and then we'll finalize the language that's being added, debate and vote on that, and then vote on the amendment, the resolution as amended. Is that correct, Mr. Parliamentarian?
That is correct.
All right. Okay. So there's been a motion to strike the last paragraph, the last "be it further resolved" paragraph. Is there any debate on that motion? And that is, Frank, that's your resolution, so I don't know if you'd like to speak to that at all.
I would just quickly. I think that as we, as mayors, have not only been here, but many of us from the U.S. Conference of Mayors were in Paris, and we supported the whole world coming together on some sort of agreement and sustainable development goals in the efforts that we and mayors across this country through the U.S. Conference of Mayors and others. I think we support not only our very, very strong efforts, because obviously we can do most here at home where we are, but I think that we ought to support a global effort to emerge stronger through this global crisis. But we have to obviously focus on the U.S. Conference of Mayors and where we are, not only to support ourselves, but to say, hey, we support a better world. And I still am supportive of leaving that final paragraph in there, even though we may want to expand some more verbiage onto exactly what we mean by expanding job training.
Okay. Any other debate? Does anyone else want to add any other debate?
Mayor Kriseman.
Yes, sir.
I agree with Mayor County. I think that the last paragraph is important to be retained. It's a contextual issue that we're not in this by ourselves. There is certainly, it's a global pandemic and it's a global climate crisis. And I think that's important that it be seen as a set of tasks and objectives that we're joining with others on. And so I support retaining the last paragraph.
Thank you, Mayor Berger. Any other debate? I can't see you, so if you want to debate, just jump in. If not, I'll make one last comment and then we'll put it to vote.
Mayor,
I certainly yes.
Mayor Butte, did you want to speak?
Yes. Before we go to, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor Buck, did you want to speak?
I'm Buck from Richmond, California. I agree with the points the last two speakers made, and I just want to add that many of us joined with other U.S. Conference of Mayors saying we're still in, and we are still in. And I think invoking the Paris Conference is a strong item that should be kept in here.
I'll just
Thank you,
echo
Mayor.
that.
Okay.
This is Mayor Marchand from Livermore, California, not too far away from Richmond. But I would just like to echo that. I recall not long ago at a conference of mayors, Mayor County speaking quite passionately and eloquently about his support for the Paris Accord and the Paris Agreement. So I also would support leaving that language, because we as mayors are not just about our local, it's also about making us a better world.
Any other mayors want to weigh in the debate? Yeah, Mayor Landry.
I support keeping the last one in the resolution also.
Thank you, Mayor. Any additional comments? And I apologize, Mayor Butt, I saw that you did have your hand up and I didn't call on that, so sorry I missed that. I understand, Mayor Bradbury, where you're coming from on the local level, but I also support leaving that language in. I think a lot of us signed that pledge that we are still in because our country and the leadership of our country was giving the message out to the rest of the world that the United States wasn't in. And I think a lot of us felt it was important that we use our voices collectively to let the rest of the world know that we felt that we were as a country still in, and that if there wasn't going to be a singular voice, then there needed to be many, and as there was. So if there is no other debate, let's go ahead and
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the parliamentarian again. Since this is a motion to strike out, I just want to make sure all of the members are clear about the voting process. So if they vote in favor, if they vote yes, that's a vote to strike the language out so it'll no longer be there. Now, if you vote no, that means it won't be stricken, so it will stay. So if you want to keep the language, you vote no. If you want the language to be gone, you would vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, so all those in favor of the language, I'm sorry.
I just wanted one last clarification, and that was to the effect that I just believe that we need to get things taken care of here before we ask or get involved with anything anyplace else. I want to make sure that that resolution is read by Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and they know that we need this. And I just don't want the Paris Climate Accord stuff to be involved, because then it kicks it up to a different level, where the other stuff is what I feel is important. That's the reason why I'm asking for it to be stricken. I'm not asking anybody to be political about that. And that's the reason why I'm trying to keep it nonpartisan. Everything else above it is nonpartisan, and that's the reason why I asked for that to be striked. Just
Mr. Chairman.
My voice.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mayor County.
Frank County again. I appreciate her position, but the U.S. Conference of Mayors has long been on record in support of the Paris Climate Agreement. And I think that that has been pointed out by numerous other mayors, we're not in this alone. We're in this with the rest of the world, but we have to do the best we can where we are with the resources that we have and start today. And we hope that the rest of the world is going to do the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, so will all those who are in favor of striking out the language, please raise your hand to signify you are in favor.
Here.
Okay. All those who are opposed to the striking out the language, please raise your hand in opposition.
Motion failed.
Thank you. Okay, we were working on the other where be it further resolved language. Once you click that.
Hold on.
Okay.
Wait, what happened? Hold on. Undo what I just did. Okay, I'll fix it. Okay, just trust me that I will fix this. So.
Okay. So we are working on that other language, and Mayor Bradbury, I know you wanted to make sure there was language in there that included increased investment in technical college and trade schools, so it was very clear that job training skills were might be at a different level. Is that accurate?
Hopefully everybody can see me shaking my head, yes. But yes, that is true.
Okay.
Mayor Kriseman and myself, our county has a lot of manufacturing and a lot of capabilities for this. And I don't know that necessarily these skills are taught at our local colleges. I would say for sure that they're not. I know about 30 years ago they were. So I believe that we need to make it a point to tell them we need to invest in them, and we need to invest in this at those schools. You know, them giving money to technical schools, one thing, but them giving money to the technical school and getting those teachers in there to teach this, the solar information, I think is very important.
May I suggest some language then?
Oh, absolutely.
Judy, could you go back to that for 1 second?
Yes, I can. Hold on 1 second. Given the fact that I didn't know what Zoom was 5 months ago. Okay, yes, sir.
If you took that section in blue and added it right after training skills, so it would say, yeah, right there. See if that does it.
Job training skills, including increased investment in technologies and trade schools to assist workers. Mayor Kriseman, thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion to amend that be it further resolved section as it's showing on the screen right now. The maker of the motion is.
There's a typo now after the word jobs.
I think there's an extra
comma. Yep.
space.
Yep.
The period.
Yep.
And then the dash next to the word impact.
Yeah.
Yep.
The dash and the comma. Is that a comma there after workers?
Yeah. Do you want that?
I think. Well, I think the comma can stay. I think it's the hyphen that's next to it.
It could be a space that the strike through is showing.
Oh, okay. All right.
Don't worry about that. I will clean it up before it gets.
Yes, and I believe the comma is no longer needed. I don't see if it's there or not, but it's no longer needed because of shifting where the insertion was. So yeah.
All right.
Got it.
Okay. So okay, so we have a motion to amend the resolution as that was reflected. Is there any debate on the motion? Frank, it was your resolution originally. Do you have any debate that you want to add to it at all?
I don't believe so. I think that if the body believes that this further defines the efforts that are going to move forward, I'm okay with it.
Okay, very good. All right, seeing no further debate, all of those in favor of amending the resolution as reflected, please raise your hands to signify your support.
I think I lost some people. Okay.
All right, please put your hands down. All those who are opposed to the amendment to the resolution, please raise your hand.
It passed.
Okay.
Well, the amendment
All
passed.
right, we are back on the main resolution as amended. How am I doing, Mr. Parliamentarian?
Perfect.
All right. Any further debate on the resolution as amended? Hearing none and seeing none, all those in favor of the resolution as amended, please raise your hand. All right, you can put your hands down, please. All those opposed, please raise your hand.
It's passed.
Very good. Thank you. The resolution passes. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, we are done with the resolution portion of the meeting. Thank you all very much for all of your work on these issues. We are now going to move into the next agenda item that we have in front of us today, which is protecting sanitation workers and promoting health. We all know that sanitation for all of us isn't an option, an optional service. From the perspective of public health and public safety, it's really an essential service, especially during COVID, and where we as mayors have been able to ask many of our city workers to work from home. Our sanitation workers, they can't. They are among those that we need to have out on the streets, doing the work that needs to get done each and every day for us. And like our doctors and nurses and other workers who are on the front lines, we want to make sure that we're providing them with the equipment, the information, and resources that they need to stay safe while they do their jobs that we need them to do. And if you all haven't done so, please make sure that when folks are talking about our real heroes, that we don't forget about those who are our sanitation workers, along with our wastewater workers, our water, all of our public works folks. So that's why I decided to make space during this committee meeting for this discussion. During this conversation, we're going to hear from experts in the field on how we can equip our sanitation workers to do their jobs with as much care for their personal safety as possible, and what some of the challenges are that have been presented by this unique situation that we all find ourselves in due to the ongoing impacts of the coronavirus pandemic, and what municipal solid waste functions might look like potentially in the future. What's our new normal, so to speak, to borrow that phrase? What's changed for the better and what's for the worse? So I want to start off by thanking the public and private sector leadership of the Municipal Waste Management Association, or the MWMA, whose officers you'll hear from today, for their assistance in putting together this panel. We have 4 speakers joining us here today. From the public sector, we have Lori Kahini. I knew I was going to pronounce it wrong. I'm sorry. Kahikina. Thank you. My apologies. The current president of the NWMA. I would have been better off an hour ago. And the director of the Environmental Services for Honolulu, Hawaii, under Mayor Kirk Caldwell. Richard McHale, Assistant Director of Resource Recovery for the City of Austin, under Mayor Steve Adler. And Alex Halu, Assistant Director of Sanitation for the City of Los Angeles, under Mayor Eric Garcetti. And from the private sector, we have Jeff Martin, who is the Vice President of Safety Services for Waste Management. So we're going to start off with Lori, who will talk a bit about the mission and work of the MWMA and how coronavirus has impacted her city. And then we'll hear from Alex and Jeff about the ways in which they've been challenged to prepare their workers and fleets for these evolving needs and realities. And after that, from Richard, about how Austin is dealing with the growing issue of homelessness and keeping encampments cleaner and safer from a public health perspective, while also protecting city workers. And then after hearing from the panelists, hopefully we'll have a couple minutes for some questions. And so I'll stop talking and turn the floor over to Lori. And Lori, thank you for joining us, and my apologies for butchering badly your name.
Oh, no, no worries. I butcher Caucasian names, so thank you very much, Mayor and Environment Committee members, for allowing us to speak today. As Mayor mentioned, I just want to give a brief overview of MWMA. We are the Municipal Waste Management Association. We are tied to the Conference of Mayors. We are the environmental affiliate of the Conference of Mayors. As mayors, you represent the municipality with the Conference of Mayors, and at our MWMA meetings, the municipality is represented by your staff. Those staff that are responsible for solid waste, recycling, and sustainability. Usually our titles, they range from Director of Solid Waste, Public Works, or like myself, I'm Director of Environmental Services. Geographically, we span from Anchorage, Alaska to Honolulu, Hawaii, where I am, and all the way across to the East Coast. And the goal of MWMA is to provide executive level professional development and sharing best practices in solid waste and collection. So some of the COVID challenges, when a natural disaster happens or a pandemic occurs, it is so imperative that you mayors, you need to label your public workers, like, you know, the solid waste, the water, the wastewater staff as essential employees. Under our Mayor Caldwell, he learned early on in his administration that sometimes, especially in a short-term emergency like a hurricane, you're tempted to give admin leave to your staff, have everyone stay home. But Mayor Caldwell learned that he needs to give that authority to the directors, because each department, we have about 24, is different. So for environmental services, we are in charge of solid waste and wastewater. And if he granted all of our employees to stay home, as a mayor, he would be facing other environmental and health issues. I would have all my solid waste workers at home, the trash would pile up, or my wastewater guys, the wastewater would back up. So it's really important that you folks label your employees as essential. And also it's important that to protect our workers and keep them healthy. Before the pandemic, many of our solid waste workers are responsible for cleaning up the homeless encampments, which has gained additional urgency since the pandemic. And we need to protect the homeless while also protecting our staff. So my colleagues, Alex, Rich, and Jeff will go into the details. Recycling was mentioned earlier in one of the resolutions, and that is a critical issue for many of you mayors. And even before COVID, it was an issue. So China was the main importer of recyclables for the entire world. And on January 1st, 2018, they implemented their national sword, which basically means anything greater than a 0.5% contamination is not acceptable. For example, if you have the pizza sauce on your cardboard pizza box, that is not acceptable. So it's extremely difficult to maintain those non-contamination levels. So for us in Honolulu, Hawaii, we already had like a 50% set out of the population. And when we picked up the carts, we have 1,000 cart maximum for our union workers. Only 500 carts would be put out, and even in the carts, only 50% of those carts are filled, or they're filled to 50% maximum. So we send it to a recycler, they gather all the recycling, they sort it out, and everything is shipped to the mainland. And now with this China sword, our recycler really has no market for it. So at the risk of getting shot by the Sierra Clubs and the environmental groups, we are pushing to be allowed to use our waste to energy facility. We are blessed, at least we have that option, but we do need to change laws in order to do that. And so far the environmental groups are okay with using that as a temporary solution, but they really insist on us pushing source reduction and reuse. So on our website, we are pushing the public to call companies like Salvation Army, because they can reuse our materials, or reuse Hawaii, where if you're demolishing your house, they take all of the material from there instead of bulldozing it down, and they sell. They take out the trim and the doors and everything, and they reuse it as much as possible. So the recycling landscape is rapidly changing, and then COVID has just exacerbated the situation. We need to continue to collect solid waste and recyclables to maintain our community's public health, and we still need to maintain our worker safety as they perform those critical functions. So we need to prepare for reduction in labor through potential budgetary cuts or sickness due to COVID. I just wanted to share, and Alex, Richard, and Jeff will elaborate on those aspects, but in this unprecedented pandemic, which none of us have ever had training on, it never thought we would have to deal with, for me, the MWMA has been a lifeline. It's the only forum where I can reach out to my counterparts across the country, across the nation. Anytime I can email, call them and ask for advice. How are you dealing with this? And maybe there's some similarities or lessons learned that they can share with me. So I ask that you please encourage your staff to participate. And as the MWMA president, our annual conference was supposed to be hosted here in Honolulu, but due to COVID, we're not going to have the actual conference. So if it does go through next year, please allow your staff to come, because some of you may have participated last year in the U.S. Conference of Mayors, which was held here. And you do know that work actually gets done in Hawaii. It's not just all fun and games. So thank you, Mayor Kriseman, for allowing us to speak and in supporting MWMA. We're pleased that Willie Joseph has been an active person and a support, and Ben Shirley was one of our strongest supporters for years. It's someone that we thought of so well as one of our eldest statesmen. For more information on MWMA, you can go to usmayors.org/MWMA. And thank you again for this opportunity. And I believe Alex is up next.
Alex, I think there you go.
Okay. I know Juby was going to be pulling the presentation. All right. So I'll be. Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Mayor Kriseman, for the opportunity to present here today. So second slide, please. Next, Julie. For this brief background on the City of Los Angeles solid waste management, single-family homes and small multifamily complexes are serviced directly by sanitation, while large multifamily complexes and commercial businesses are serviced by franchise holders who coordinate their activities with sanitation. Next slide. So typical house in Los Angeles, you get the green bin for organic material where you can put your organic stuff in. The black bin is for refuse, and the blue bin for recyclables. Next slide, please. The solid resources services are these are essential public services. We provide weekly collection. We have unlimited bulky items. You just have to call us and we pick it up on our next collection day. We have 7 safe centers that are available to the public where we collect used oil, hazardous waste. We also have tire and mattress recycling. We also have e-waste collection, and we have 24/7 customer care center that's available 365 days a year. Next slide. Safety is a core value and our top priority. We try to ensure that safeguards are in place to protect our employees. And during this COVID-19, we expanded some services in order to address the pandemic. Next slide. Traditionally, solid waste workers are at higher risk of injuries due to their exposure to physical, chemical, and biological hazards. So training is very essential, and we provide training from the first day on the job, what proper PPE to use, how to handle syringes, and how to handle radioactive material. Next slide, please. So when the COVID-19 hit us, we started getting questioned, what is the coronavirus? How is it transmitted? We also had to make sure, how do we keep our employees safe? So not only to impact themselves, but also not to take this disease to their family. We also had to address a lot of questions from our public. For example, I have a family member who has the coronavirus. How do I handle the waste that they're generating at home? How do I clean my trash can? Also, people who have office home businesses, they were asking us, how do I sanitize my workspace after meeting with a client? And also, as internally, we had to determine what operations do we keep and which one do we suspend. Next slide. So the first, what we had to do is refresher training for all the staff on how to use the PPE, just to remind them what they had originally went through. Next slide, please. Our mayor, Eric Garcetti, was very on the forefront of addressing the COVID-19. He was on TV literally every night, telling the city what we need to do and what we need, how to address things as they come up. So continuous engagement with our staff was very crucial for us to convey that message. In addition, we produce educational flyers and posters. And one thing that the mayor mentioned is that the staff of sanitation, especially the wastewater and the solid waste, they felt all the accolades were going to the firefighters, the police, and the others, and not them when they were out there every day. So we produced a video to thank them. And that video actually went viral in the city. Next slide. Briefly, our collection operation, 75% of our trucks are automated side loaders. This is where one-man operation or one-person operation, and they put the grabber out, they grab the container. So these, we call them self-isolating units. So we did not really need to do much with the trucks. The bulky item, also one person. So we just had to reinforce on using their PPE. We have switched to clean fuel vehicles, which is liquefied natural gas, several years ago, and we have dedicated fuelers. What happened is the trucks come back at night, they park, and we have fuelers who come in the evening, they move these trucks, fuel them, put them back in their stalls. We felt if one of our fuelers was down with the COVID-19, then several trucks would be impacted. So we modified that operation. And we made the fuelers come in early. As the drivers came in to the fueling site, they would fuel the trucks and the driver stay in their vehicles. The safe centers, unfortunately, we have to suspend those operations. And the reason was not from our staff, is because the vendors who take our material, the e-waste, the paint, and others, shut down their operations. So we had no venue to take where this material could go to. Recycling is very crucial for us. We over 70% recycling as a city. So this was a big hit for us, and we had to do major changes on our mulch operation. Some of those we enacted was the 6 feet on the mulch line or in the next to in the operation. We also had lunch. We told our only one person could sit per table, and we had also a lot of people take the lunch outside. Also, we had to get more vehicles to transport employees from their trailers to the mulch operation. So usually we can put 12, 14 people in one van. We had to get several, so this way we kept our social distancing with them. The compost workshop, we've been operating that for over 20 years, where residents come in, they learn about composting, they buy a composting bin, and they start composting at home. We had to suspend that training. Our 24/7 customer care center, we had about 100 employees, and we shifted them literally overnight to telecommuting. They're able to use their computers, have at home, to log into the city system and be able to answer customers' questions. For those employees who did not have computers, we provided them with laptops so they can still dial in. And we had no interruption of that service. Next slide. Necessity is the mother of invention, and this is really true. We could not, and probably everybody else of us went to the store to get sanitizer, you could not find it. So we challenged our sanitation labs, and they able to utilize the FDA guidelines, and they produced the sanitation sanitizers. And we've provided those to staff, and actually we're still producing those. Next slide, please. Disinfectant spray, to keep the trucks clean and their workspace clean, we also developed these gallons of disinfectants, and we gave a bottle spray to each of the employees so they can fill them up and they use them. They just basically spray it on a cloth, and then they can wipe their truck or their working area. Next slide. We developed a Google Sheet that we track the PPE usage, availability, and what's on order from every single division we have in our Department of Sanitation. We have about 26 divisions. And this way we made sure if somebody has more of certain stuff, we can move it around. And we made sure also that our staff have all the PPE that they need in order to do their jobs. Next slide. Some of the operation changes, communication. As you know, in the operation staff is very important to keep the communication going. So these tailgate meetings, we usually have them in the lunchroom. We move them to the outside yard instead of the conference room. So this way the employees have enough social distance between them. We also did paperless tickets at the disposal sites and the recycling centers. This is when your truck goes into to dispose of the material. In the old days, we used to give them the paper Now we made all this electronic. Next slide, please. These are some images that we came up with how to quarantine trucks and vehicles if an employee was tested positive for COVID-19. We did not want to leave any chance for any mistakes, so we put these pink slips on each side of the truck and also on the windshield. So this way it tells the drivers this truck is out of service, do not touch it. Next slide. Also, I'm going to tell you a trick now. Before they start the truck in the morning, each driver have to turn the battery switch on. So again, to leave no room for any mistakes, we tag that battery. So this way the drivers know this truck is out of service, do not use. Next slide. To decontaminate the trucks, we brought in our environmental compliance inspectors. These are employees who have highly trained in decontamination, and they basically now looked at the truck, they decontaminated, and then once they decontaminated, they put a sign that to release it back to operation or to mechanics to do work on it. Next slide. We also got a lot of calls from residents about what to do with medical waste, how to handle it. So we also provided them with information, how to deal with COVID-19, also how to clean up your work practice, not only in the city as a city employee, but also if you have a business at home. Next slide. What we have found out very helpful for us is the frequent updates for employees from management. We also have worked with our labor partners to encourage compliance with PPE. So this way the employees keep their PPE on. And since we were considered essential employees, the mayor helped us get access for COVID-19 testing. So if an employee had the symptoms or if they found something, they would basically move to a special call where we'd be able to schedule them for the next day to do the testing. Next slide. One of the things that we noticed during the COVID-19 is the tale of two cities. With people staying at home, businesses were shut down. We saw the solid waste generation from business drop by over 25%. We saw an increase in solid waste at home. So our mayor directed us to provide extra pickup for residents. The only requirement was the residents will have to wait for the truck, and as the truck driver emptied the container, they will load it and our driver will empty it at no charge. Next slide. Some of the lessons that we have learned today, medical information kept changing continuously on us. And so we felt that it's very important to keep updating the information to our staff. Long-term telecommuting, a lot of our staff who were basically adamant against it found it actually very advantageous for certain classification, like the customer care center and some engineering position. And so they became champions of it. We also we saw less sick time and less vacation time. We also have installed plexiglass to protect our employees. And one thing we're noticing now is that as this pandemic keeps going, we need to watch out for our frontline staff for burnout. And we have employee improvement program, EIP, so we're telling our employees to engage it. And also, we did not want to forget about the family impact. Schools are out, daycares are out, some people taking care of their parents, elderly parents. So we want to make sure we have support for all these staff. Following slide. Next, these are some of the information that we have produced on flyers we distributed for the staff and for our council offices who wanted to know what to do with the PPE. Thank you, and this concludes my presentation, and I turn it over to Jeff. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Alex. Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Martin. I'm the Vice President of Safety Services for Waste Management, and grateful to be here today. If you'll advance to the next slide, Alex did a great job walking through some of the specific protocols that both the public and private sectors of the waste and recycling industry have deployed. The big realization for a lot of folks not familiar with waste and recycling, both at the public and private level, is that because of the fact that a lot of trash and recycling does have the nasties, the germs and viruses, as Alex mentioned, there's been great training and safety protocols previously in place before COVID-19. That's important to know because I think that really set up the overall waste and recycling sectors for success. Really, it's about following the safety protocols that were already in place, pandemic plan or not. I'd like to share a little bit about waste management. Waste management has approximately 45,000 employees, 1,200 sites across North America. We're pleased to partner both with our private and public sector neighbors. Safety at waste management, that is a core value, and it's demonstrated itself exceptionally well over the last 4 months, as our people are our greatest asset. Really, at the end of the day, it's helped us build resiliency and character for multi-levels of our organization. I'd like to share a little bit about that today and why our approach was unique, but also continues to be successful. If you switch to the next slide. As I mentioned, the safety code protocols were already in place. So it was more about enhancing our training and compliance of the PPE and personal hygiene, because we all realize that the germs and viruses have already been there and we should have already been protecting ourselves. So it was a good launch point to re-inform people about why PPE and personal hygiene was so important. Perhaps one of the most successful attributes of our response and our continued support response today was that our leadership messaging, it was consistent, confident, and calming. The best part about it was timely and purposeful, so it allowed all of our employees, and especially our managers as well, to take away key focus opportunities, celebrate some wins and recognition, but then also try to take a look at what might be in front of us. And that's important, because one of the things that I'm most pleased about was that I was a part of what we called our COVID-19 task force. That was led by a number of department leaders such as myself, but also we recruited some external experts, Dr. Linda Leaf, formerly a founder of Stericycle, and others who helped us put together a comprehensive plan of who, what, when, and how, and where. It went much deeper than that, as each functional leader had to come up with a plan. And when you have 1,200 sites, 45,000 employees, 30,000 of which you would consider frontline, we were able to send home approximately 12 to 15,000 people with computers in 10 days to set up commuting offices where they were basically able to now work from home and do so within the network successfully. It was not easy, but it was achieved. It was truly an opportunity that the team seized. Our employee and external communications were very, very important, as you can all imagine. We had to make sure that we were consistent. We also had to make sure we were timely, and we used a variety of methods to do that. We had a centralized point of command with our communications leaders, and we were able to make sure that the information was just that, specific, concise, and timely to our internal and external customers. One of the things that we were really excited about, and we still have open today, is we established a 1-800 line for all of our employees and their family members. So we fielded over 800 calls. But the best part about that was, while many were of the same topic, we were able to take the pulse of our managers, family members, and employees to know what it was that, for the most part, made them anxious. So while we always thought we did a great job at communicating, we found we could recommunicate and recommunicate to make sure that folks understood. So we took some of those common subjects, some of those common topics, and we took the opportunity to recommunicate through different methods and approaches over certain time links to make sure people knew what the resources and opportunities for information truly were. You know, when you talk about continuously informing your customers and communities, flexibility and adaptability is really the key. As you can see over on the right-hand side of the picture, on that lower side, that's what we call a driver launch. That's anywhere from 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, where we launch our drivers, but we usually have a 5 to 15 minute briefing, and it's an opportunity to share safety nuggets, maybe the challenges of the day. And as you can see, we're still able to have those with social distancing as well. As Alex mentioned, all the safeguards are in place with all of our PPE, our hand sanitization products, and cleaning and disinfecting of the trucks, and certainly for our technicians, our MRFs, and all the support folks, including our managers. Now, we are into our newest phase, as you can see at the bottom, and that's our Workforce Evolution Task Force. And the key here is that we have to be flexible and agile, because we've just sent home 10 to 12,000 of our support employees, and they continue to work from home. So we're looking at how we can be a better company from this, still providing tremendous internal and external support to our employees and obviously our external customers. So one of the key takeaways that we continue to do is look at our enhanced safety protocols, because when people do come back to the office, as many people will, we have to make sure that the desks, the workstations are obviously now distanced. There's a cleaning procedure with our third-party cleaning resources. We have everything from, for example, if we have a single floor at a facility, using a one-direction walk flow, if you will, either clockwise or counterclockwise to keep people from crossing. Common areas, you heard Alex mention earlier, so those common areas, same thing, whether it's a conference room, a coffee area, those have been rethought and basically revamped. Even everything from elevator uses, how we use elevators and do it smartly. So a lot of thoughts going into what that looks like. On the next slide, as we continue our safety protocols and protections of our employees and communities we serve, we continue to focus on a number of key areas. I mentioned earlier our leadership's messaging. That continues to be a high value opportunity and certainly actionable by our managers and employees. Our centralized communications will in fact continue. Instead of myself, the VP of operations, fleet, whomever coming out with various communications, that can get taxing on our managers. And that was one of the best moves we made, was making sure we had streamlined communications within the organization. A big focus, as I mentioned earlier, is the continued enhancement and awareness over our compliance of PPE protocols and safeguards. This continues to be a high focus area. Each of our managers are responsible for making sure that the social distancing and PPE is adhered to. It's not optional. It's a compliance rule. And it's important for our employees and our managers to continue. And one of the things that with our workforce evolution team, we're continuing to evaluate roles. The workplaces, certainly, the facilities. We're even looking at our vendors and how we utilize vendors and their access to our shops and our facilities. You don't think about those things, but that was a big opportunity for us, as well as our customers. We have sales representatives and managers who have, Alex mentioned, who visit with customers, who visit with the general public. And so how do you interact safely with those folks while still adhering to the safety protocols established? You know, at the bottom here, you know, one of the key points is, you know, while we enact and incorporate our workforce evolution and our return to work as cities and states begin to open, we are going to continue to monitor state and local government guidance, certainly the CDC, but also network with other business leaders for best practices sharing. In closing, planning, communications, and networking for best practices sharing, both between the public and the private sectors, is essential, even if you are stealing ideas shamelessly. It's one of the best things that we did. We were able to help out one another, because who could argue when you're protecting the well-being of everybody's employees, the communities we're serving. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present today.
Thank you, Jeff. And I think we'll hear from Richard about how Austin is dealing with their issues.
All right, there we go. Mayor Kriseman and members of the Environmental Committee, thanks for the opportunity to talk about what Austin's doing with safety for its employees in the time of COVID, and how we deal with encampment cleanups and protect the residents of those cleanups as well. So little background on what we're doing. So I'll kind of give a little bit about where Austin is with COVID. Up to, as of yesterday, we've had about 112 deaths within the county here, and about a little over 6,300 cases of the COVID virus. And to date, we've spent about $52 million, an estimated $52 million on our COVID response. That's kind of our burn rate to date. Just for perspective, Austin has about 1 million people. I think the next census should show us hitting 1 million. And the last point in time count we did for homeless showed we had about 2,500 homeless individuals. Throughout the year, we estimate there's really about 7,000 as people kind of come in and out of homelessness. But during a specific point in time count, we had about 2,500. So Mayor Adler's made homelessness and resolving it a priority for the city. And with that, my department, Austin Resource Recovery, we were tasked with coordinating the cleanups and developing storage opportunities for those experiencing homelessness. So while we were appointed that because almost every department in the city of Austin is touched in some form or fashion with the homeless issue. And a lot of those departments doing cleanups on the property they own or waterways or other areas like that. So there's a lot of work that was going on, but there was really no coordinated effort. So ARR's role was kind of come in and just kind of coordinate it. We actually don't do a lot of the cleanups. A lot of the PARD has a big role, or watershed department, because a lot of their properties have become encampments. But we're just kind of coordinating the whole response to it. So, but Public Works has been involved, our downtown community court, our public health, and obviously our police department. So that's kind of the background on where we are. One thing we realized is we really didn't know where all the, you can move to the next slide, I'm sorry, Juby. We really didn't know where all the encampments were. So we on a weekly basis now, we kind of meet together with all the departments and kind of listen to what they're doing so we can get a better idea of the scope of the problem. But in the beginning, what we did is we did an inventory on where all the encampments were and what the conditions of them were. We went out, we took a look at it. We looked for the hazards that were out there so we could prepare our safety staff and those contractors or city staff that were going to be cleaning them to make sure that they had the correct PPE. We noticed there was a lot of needles out there, a lot of hazardous materials, human waste in some of the areas. Fires had been set at some locations. We noticed a lot of scrap tires at some that obviously weren't dumped there by vehicles. They had to have been brought over there. So our thought was maybe homeless folks were getting paid from some of these tire companies to get rid of their tires for free. So we had one encampment where some of those tires were actually set on fire and caused an issue. So we had to work through this. We had to work through the hazards that were on the ground. One campsite that was located close to our household hazardous waste facility, we noticed a lot of lithium batteries over there, and we really couldn't figure out why. We did realize later that those had actually been taken from our household hazardous waste facility when we found that our fence had been breached. We later found out that there are those that are able to take those lithium batteries and I guess get some material out of there, probably the lithium, and be able to make methamphetamine out of it. So we had to make some adjustments on how we stored stuff at our household hazardous waste facility, but also learn something during that process. So it's been a learning experience for us, but we try to get the PPE for staff that's suited for the area that they're working in. So next slide, Julie. One thing we did, obviously, we want to keep our employees safe, but we also want to keep those that we come in contact with safe. So we did implement temporal screening for our staff. We've been doing it for about 3 months. I think the impression the staff got was that they were very happy to see that. They felt that we were taking care of them, that we were looking out for them. In reality, I think that's true, but in reality, we've been testing for almost 3 months now. And we've never had to send an employee home due to a fever, but we have had about 7 cases within the department, confirmed cases. So how effective it is debatable, but it is there. And if an employee did happen to have a fever, we would be able to detect that and be able to get them home. So we're still continuing to do that. We do it all in-house now. And originally we tried, we had a medical provider out here taking the temperatures, but our staff stepped up and said, hey, look, we can do this. We do it every morning. As far as PPE supplies go, we often had the fortunate opportunity to, back in January, FEMA was putting on at their Emergency Management Institute a training for Austin and Travis County. So we had an invite to go up there, up to Emmitsburg, Maryland, and do a training up there, which was basically a tabletop exercise on handling a disaster. So there was about 60 people from both the city and the county that went up there. FEMA took care of the cost. And it was a real life scenario. It wasn't a pandemic scenario, but it was actually it was a weather event. So this kind of put us all in the frame of mind of updating all of our passcodes to get into Web EOC and to refine our plans and to think a little bit more deeply about supplies. So, and this is about the time that we were starting to hear about the virus in China. So ARR, we went ahead and immediately just ordered supplies, not knowing that this would be even coming to the United States. But we said, let's go ahead and be prepared. So we bought inordinate amounts of concentrated cleansers and masks that we could find and sanitizers. So we were very well stocked when this started out, except for the N95 mask, to the point where some of the other city departments actually needed materials that they couldn't find on the market, and we were able to give them some materials. So planning actually helped us out immensely in that. And it's kind of the same situation now. We're really kind of just planning now for the next waves that are coming. So we're continuing to buy supplies for that. We did modify our operations to alleviate as much of the chance of catching the virus. For instance, our trash collection crews and our crews that go to encampments, once they finish their task for that day, we allow them to go home. We used to do that, 30 years ago, but we kind of got away from that practice because we felt folks were trying to rush to get out of work, and it's creating a lot of accidents and injuries. But with everything being considered now, we thought we'd rather them folks do their job and go home instead of risking perhaps contaminating or infecting another coworker should they have the virus. So that continues to go on. Obviously, crews are happy that once their job is done, they are able to go home for the day. Just like Alex said, we don't allow our folks to come into the building. We've tried to move as much of the operation outside as we can. One thing our employees came to us about was, with all the restaurants that were shutting down and the stores were kind of limiting number of folks in, that a lot of our crews out in the field had no restrooms to be able to go to. Fire departments kind of did not want a lot of folks coming in there. Typically we would go there, but we didn't want to cross-contaminate them and potentially contaminate any first responders. So the department actually, we went out and rented several porta potties, and we placed them strategically around town. So if our folks did need to use restroom facilities, that they would be able to while on the route. Just like Alex said, we do the truck disinfection at the end of the day. For some of our standalone facilities, like our household hazardous waste and recycling drop-off center, we've changed that to an appointment-only type facility so we can limit the number of folks that are in there at any one time, and that put the employees at ease that were working there. One thing we did too, especially for the folks, really for the folks that were working at the encampments, is one of the social service providers here in town, the Integral Care. They provided a training called Mental Health First Aid Training. It's basically what you would get if you took a medical first aid training, but it dealt really with mental health training. So it allowed our employees to kind of understand the folks that may be at some of these encampments and some of the challenges they may have and some of the different mental health issues that they may experience and how to kind of remove themselves from the situation. So it's really good training for our folks. We really got an insight to it. So much so that once everything kind of settles down, we're probably going to offer that training to all of our employees, because we realize that mental health issues aren't just for isn't just something for folks that are in encampments or experiencing homeless. We have plenty of folks that live in houses that have issues like that too. So we think it's a good idea to go ahead and and have all of our employees take that training, just so they're more aware of the issues that they're going to be dealing with. Next slide, Judy. One of the things, our Public Works Department does a lot of the cleanups that are under the highway overpasses. So one of the things that we started doing in the beginning before COVID, we were doing cleanups on a regular rotation basis where we would go in, we'd post notice, we'd ask folks to move out their materials, anything they wanted to keep, anything left behind, we would dispose of. That kind of changed. COVID came. We didn't want to displace folks any longer, so we just kind of let the sites sit. We did put trash cans at the sites for people to kind of police the areas themselves. In this picture, you can see those purple carts. We use purple carts for our what we call it the Violet Bag Program. We supply them with bags, and those that choose can help kind of police the areas themselves. They put it in the carts. We empty that, and we do that on a regular basis, just as if that was a house. This would be in addition to the typical big cleanups we have to remove some of the structures that are built and some of the other areas. As we kind of worked our way into this, we noticed activists were starting to show up on a greater and greater frequency and trying to disrupt our operations. They felt that we were, creating issues for the folks experiencing homelessness, and so they started getting involved. So our Public Works Department decided to establish work zones basically around the cleanup sites when a cleanup was happening. And this kind of gave us a little area more to work in. It also allowed, if we had law enforcement on site, it also allowed for them to enforce trespassing laws against any activists that are trying to get in and disrupt the operation. So we found, initially we set them up, we realized they probably need to be bigger because what we experienced is the activists would just kind of come up right up to the line and still record us and yell things at us and stuff, which is fine, but we preferred them to stay a little bit farther away. So we kind of made the work zone a little bit bigger. But Public Works was kind of the driver in that, and it's worked out well so far. Like I said, at the beginning, we were asking folks just to kind of move their tents and everything. At this point, with the virus going on, we're really just asking folks if they have any stuff that they want to keep, just put it inside their tent. We're not moving tents at this point. We do ask them to kind of step out of the area while we clean up. And we basically, right now, we're just cleaning up around them. The litter on the ground that there may be, we're emptying the trash carts that are there. But right now, our department really just kind of handles the day-to-day litter that may be at a site. Some of the other departments are more moving folks based on health and safety reasons. Our Parks Department is moving some folks that may be in creek beds. If there's a storm coming up and an imminent danger, they may move them out for that. But we're really not trying to displace folks right now. We'd rather just kind of clean up around them and try to make things as seamless as possible for the folks that are there. We don't want them having to go move around and potentially spread the virus as well. The city's done some really good job. You can go to the next slide there. The city's put in some sanitation facilities at some of the locations. We put in some portable restrooms for folks to use because human waste was becoming an issue, and we really didn't have, there was no one department that said, we'll deal with the human waste. So we went ahead and put those in. We put some hand washing stations in too, because we wanted those folks who no longer had the opportunity to go to maybe the local fast food place to use the restroom to wash up, to give them a location where they could do so. And in this picture here, you see two of the purple carts that we have. We have a kiosk that's set up next to it with this kind of instructions for folks on COVID related issues. We actually build those kiosks in-house. And we've also attached a metal cylinder, welded that onto there for any needles that they may have. We realized early on that a lot of the needles weren't necessarily being used for illicit drug use, but a lot of the folks that are experiencing homelessness have diabetic issues or other reasons that they need to use needles and really had no place to put them. So this is one solution that we had. So these needles weren't laying around, that we didn't get calls from citizens about needles, and our workers wouldn't get punctured by any needles like that. The city's also done a good job working with some of our social service providers on getting meals to these folks. We don't want them having to go and trying to find food at restaurants at this point. So we've had a program called Eating Out, Eating Alone Together, and they've served about 100,000 meals to this point. So they're actually bringing these to the encampment sites to feed folks, so these folks don't have to leave those areas. So in assistance from law enforcement, we try to have them with us when we do some of the bigger cleanups, just to some folks. One thing we did notice prior to COVID, a lot of the campsites we were visiting on a frequent basis, so the size was pretty small. During COVID, we really didn't do much of the cleaning, and we noticed the encampment started to grow in size. And one thing we've also noticed after these encampments grew in size, we really didn't get that voluntary compliance from the folks that were working, that were living there to move out of the area or to pick up some things. So it became a little bit more, in some cases, unruly from some groups that were at some of the larger sites. So we do try to have law enforcement there just in case anything comes up, and we're much more likely to get voluntary compliance with a law enforcement officer standing there than a solid waste worker. So they're really there for our protection, for the protection of the residents of the encampment or for the contractors. But I will say it's been a little difficult lately. Our police department, obviously, like many across the country, is stretched really thin right now, and there's other priorities that they're having to work on. So we're doing the best we can without their assistance. So that kind of wraps up what I was here to talk about, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. And unfortunately, we've kind of run out of time for questions today, but I do want to thank all the panelists, Lori, Alex, Jeff, and Richard. Thank you so much for sharing your information with us. Thank you to the amazing staff at the conference for helping to put this together today. I do want to make sure for you mayors that you know that there are opportunities for additional webinars on a variety of topics. So if there's something that you're interested in learning more about, please let Judy or myself know, or anyone on our staff, and we'll see if we can make that happen. Again, thank you all for being a part of this today. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Be safe. Stay well.
Thank you. You too.
Hmm.